Yo, like thank y'all for checking out this audio book. It's called HoodTales, The Gift and the Curse. It's the first of the series. So if y'all feeling it, like, share, comment, do all of that. And if y'all really like it, I'll read the whole book for y'all. So thanks for checking it out. It's time to get to it. The hottest rapper in the game today is at the biggest, the most significant hip hop show in the game. And it's like today's version of 106 in Park. And you could look at him, he looking nervous. This is his first interview since he blew up. And the person who interviewed him is quickly looks at him and could tell he's nervous, so he introduces himself officially before the show gets started. Hello, Joey. What's up, bro? My name is Gary Harrison, and I'm your biggest fan. And they shakes hands. Joey the guy was like, thank you. I'm also a big fan of your show. I like how you keep it 100 at all times. I've been feeling that. Gary was like, cut it out. How much I gotta pay you for that? Joking around. And in the background, you could hear the cameraman yelling, 1 minute until we go live. So they both start getting themselves together, trying to get ready to go live. And while last minute making up jobs, the cameraman starts counting down from 20 into the action. Gary said, real quick, before we start, is there anything that you don't want to talk about? And Joseph was like, no, sir. I'm ready to open up, no homo. I've been waiting on this my whole life, so let's do it. And the cameraman yells, action. Gary was like, welcome to the Hip Hop Status. I'm your host, Gary Harrison. And today I'm giving you an exclusive interview with the hottest rapper in the game. 5-time Grammy Award winner, 6 hit singles on the radio right now. Joey the God. Welcome to Hip Hop Status. Joey was like, thanks for having me. And real quick, can I shout out my fans? Gary said, go ahead. Joey was like, I want to thank all my fans for the support y'all been giving me. I really appreciate it. Oh, and thanks for blowing up my Instagram and my Facebook page telling me I need to come on this show. Started laughing. And then he stand up. Now I'm here, y'all. Nigga, I made it. Smiling. Then Joseph sits back down. Gary said, first and foremost, I would like to thank all the fans for getting you here. I know they played a big part in getting you here. I know you wouldn't came here by yourself. And I appreciate you for showing up. And my first question is, how do it feel to be an overnight sensation? I mean, I see you got the money, the cars, the clothes, and I know you got the women. Joseph started blushing and, laughing like, man, it's a great feeling knowing that all the hard work we put in, it finally paid off. Gary said, who is we? Your artist? Or are you referring to the label or the team around you? Joseph said, no, I'm talking about me and my best friend slash manager, my brother from another mother, Marcus Washington. Wouldn't any of this be possible without him? This is for you, bro. Gary was like, Marcus is obviously important for your career. So if you don't mind me asking, what role with you and your music did he play? Joseph, as far as music industry or outside of it? Gary said, whatever. He has contributed in turning you into the world's most successful rapper. I think the fans would really like to know that. And Joseph sit back in the chair, was like, whew. I mean, he has done a lot. It ain't enough time in this show to even explain what he has meant to my career. And Gary said, well, try to sum it up in less than 20 minutes, said jokingly. So they both laughed, and then Joseph took a deep breath and started explaining. Joseph was like, Marcus has played a huge role in my career, and it all started back in the summer of 1991 in Chicago. My mom just got a new opportunity, and since we from St. Louis, Her job had moved us to Chicago, which was a little bit closer. So she took it, more money, better opportunities for her. And I remember riding in the car and just thinking, like, this is like the worst thing ever. Like, why would my mama want to leave? Like, all of our friends here, our family here. But when you're 12 years old, it's nothing you could do about this decision like that. And I just really remember, like, I just really had a bad feeling about moving to Chicago. And I really didn't like it and really didn't agree with it at all. And so we pulled up to our new house. And I remember my mom saying, we are here, new life, new opportunities. And I could just look at her face and see the excitement and the joy that she had about moving on. And so we unpacked the car and we headed into the house. And as we entered the house, we dropped the bags and stood and glanced around. And it was a nice, well furnished house. It was pretty good. It was better than the house we came from, since we was from the projects. And her job had furnished the house and everything, so only thing we needed was our clothes. My mom said, thank God this place is furnished because I wouldn't be able to afford none of this. Do you like it, son? And I was thinking to myself, hell no. So I remember just asking her which bedroom mine. And I went in the room after she told me which one was mine. I went in the room, laid down, and fell asleep. I was pissed. And so my first day meeting Marcus, I remember I was sitting down playing cards in front of the house. And I saw him ride past on his bike. And he kind of gave me like a head nod. And at the time I'm young, I just head nodded him back and kept playing cards. And so shortly after that, he came back and he jumped off his bike and he came towards me. And he was like, "What's up, fool?" And I'm thinking to myself, like, why you call me a fool? But then, I'm like, "What's up?" And so I kept playing cards. And Mark was like, "You must be new around here because I never saw you before." And I was like, "Yeah, me and my mom just moved here." And Marcus was like, "Okay, what you playing?" And I told him, like, I declare war, which was my favorite game as a kid. Marcus was like, "Okay, well, I see you, Brown." And he jumped back on his bike. And then he started to ride off. And I thought to myself, like, this is my chance to meet somebody. So I called him. I'm like, "Hey." And he turned around, like, "What's up?" I'm like, "You want to play?" Then he came back. And then I just remember us playing cards together. And, just being kids or whatever. And then a couple of days later, which was the start of school, it was early morning. And it was going to be the first day of school. And I remember walking out the house. My mama just left for work. My school was right up the street, so it wasn't a problem. So as I'm walking down the street, kind of nervous, feeling all these feelings, I hear somebody screaming, "Hey, new kid." But I just kept walking. Then I heard Marcus. It was Marcus. He was like, "Hey, new kid," with the black book bag on. So I turned around. I'm like, "Who, me?" He said, "Yeah, slow up." So I stopped and waited as him and his friends catch up to me. Marcus was like, "What's up, man? What's your name again?" And I told him Joseph. And Marcus looked at me. He was like, "Nah, we ain't gonna call you Joseph. We gonna call you Joey. Is that cool with you?" And I mean, it sounded cool, but I really like my name Joseph. But I mean, I'm like, okay, whatever, I guess. So Marcus introduced me to his entire crew, his little clique of friends or whatever. Marcus was like, "Joey, these are my friends. This LB, this Duke, and this big head ass nigga name right here is Priest. And my name is Marcus. And we are the Guala Gang." And I'm looking like, the hell is Guala Gang? And so his friend LB was like, "So what gang you with? GDs, BDs, Stones, or you something else?" And I'm nervous and I'm looking around like, no, I don't know nothing about gangs. I just moved here from St. Louis. LB was like, "Well, we the Guala Gang around here. So either you gonna get down or lay down." And Mark was like, "Man, shut up, LB. Ain't nobody scared of you." And then Priest was like, hell no, that nigga got to put in some work first. And then Duke was like, nigga, you ain't never put in no work either. And so Priest was like, man, whatever, man. I'm just saying, he looked like one of them scary ass niggas. And Duke was like, so is you down to what? LB was like, yeah. So what it's gonna be? So of course I'm looking around and I'm nervous. And as they speaking and they talking, and like only thing keep going in my head is, I think this is the first time I'm about to get my ass whooped. But at the time, I didn't know much about gangs. My mama never let me watch them kind of movies. But all I know is I didn't want to get beat up by these kids, so I did what any kid would do in that situation. I said, I'm down. Okay. And so Marcus was like, yeah, see, you a Guala gang now. And I don't know how it is in St. Louis, but out here, we got to protect each other from other gangs. You feel me? So I was like, okay. And then they kind of showed me a handshake and they were showing me their gang signs and all of that stuff. And after that, we finished walking to school. And I mean, school was okay and everything. And I just remember, like, damn, man, they got some pretty ass girls in Chicago. But also, they was mean as hell. So at the time, I ain't gonna lie, I was scared to talk to them. But anyway, after school, I remember we all linked back up. We got back together, and we was leaving school together. And I remember talking about girls. And LB was like, "Man, Keisha big feet ass get on my nerves." And Marcus started smiling, and he was like, "What she do now?" And LB was like, "She gonna tell everybody she saw my drawers and they had dookie stains in them." And we all started laughing, of course. But LB didn't find that funny. So LB was like, "Man, fuck y'all." And Priest was like, "It ain't our fault you the doo-doo man." And we all laughing. And LB was like, "Next time she lie, I'm gonna slap that bitch, watch." And so we laughing. And as we was walking and we was talking down the street, another little boy had walked past us and through the middle of our crowd and bumped Duke hard and kept walking. And Duke shouted like, "Hey, dude, watch where you going." And dude immediately comes back and jumps in Duke's face. Dude was talking crazy like, "Or what, nigga?" And Marcus cuts in between them, was like, "Wait, man, what's going on?" And Duke was like, "This nigga just bumped me on purpose." And when he walked past us, and dude was like, "Hell yeah, I did, nigga. What you gonna do about it? Y'all some punks." Then all I know is LB swung on this dude and hit him in his eye. And dude swing and he hits Marcus. So then they all jumped on him. And I just stood there in shock. I promise you, it was the first time in my life I ever seen somebody get jumped on. So to me, it was going in slow motion. And I ain't gonna lie, it definitely was one of the scariest times of my life. And Mark was like, all right, that's enough. So everybody stopped. And then Duke was like, nah, man, this punk ass nigga. And then he spit on dude and kicked him one more time. And Priest was like, yeah, Guala Gang, nigga, remember the name. And then I just remember us walking off. And while we was walking, Priest approached me and he pushed me. And Priest was like, next time we fight, you better help us, Joey, or you gonna get a violation. And I'm like, I'm sorry, man, I was scared. And Mark's like, man, that's the rule, Joey. If one of us fight, we all fight. And so, of course, me being scared, I'm like, I didn't know. I swear, I didn't even know how to. I don't even know how to fight. And LB was like, Priest can't fight either, but shit, at least he helped. And Priest was looking clueless, like, man, fuck y'all. And Duke was like, man, well, we gonna teach you how to fight then, man. And I'm like, okay. And then I just remember walking off, just thinking like, oh my God, I wish I never met these dudes. Then I remember like a couple of weeks later, like I needed to go to a library or something, and my mama, she really didn't have time to get to take me nowhere because she was really busy or whatever, back and forth to work. So I had called Marcus up, and I'm like, hey Marcus, what's up, man? Marcus like, what up? And I was like, do you have a computer at your house? Marcus like, nah, nigga, only rich people got those. You know, back in 1991, that was a fair assessment. And I'm like, well, do you know a library around here? Because I got a science project Friday that's due, and I got to get it done. And Mario's like, yeah, it's one on 95th. Shit. And I'm like, Is that close by? I still didn't really know much about Chicago at the time. Mark was like, nope, you got to catch a bus or a train. I just remember thinking like, damn, man. And Mark was like, matter of fact, I'm gonna go with you so you don't get lost. So I was like, cool. So we could go out to school tomorrow. And Mark was like, all right, I'm gonna holler at you tomorrow. And he hangs up the phone. And so then I remember the next day after school, we was waiting on the bus stop, and like it took a long time. I remember sitting there listening to my headphones, just bobbing, listening to whatever I was listening to back in '91. And then the bus came, we got on, whatever. And then like probably 20, 30 minutes, the bus finally stops, and then we get off. And I just remember telling Marcus like, that's a long ass ride. I'm not used to that. Everything in St. Louis was walking distance from my house. And Marcus laughed. Meanwhile, across the street, the dude that Guala Gang just jumped on a couple of weeks ago at school, him and his friend was sitting there, and they spotted us. Dude was like, man, there go them punks that jumped on me. And his friend Corleone was like, man, them little niggas right there, man, let's go fuck them niggas up right now. And then they tried to sneak up on us, and I remember Marcus spotting them. So I just took off running. I ain't even gonna lie, I was gone. And me and Marcus, we running together, whatever. And I think we kind of escaped them a little bit. And I remember just bending down behind the car, trying to catch our breath. And Mark was like, "Whoa, man, that was close." And I was like, "Man, why they chasing us?" And Mark was like, "Man, that was the dude that we just jumped on." And I was like, "But I didn't touch him." And Mark was like, "He saw you with us, nigga, so he think you jumped on him." So I just remember being scared. And Mark was like, "Man, you ready?" And I shook my head, yeah. And then we took off running again. So after we made it a couple of blocks down, after running for like a couple of minutes or whatever, we stopped and we started walking. And then Mark was like, "They go to Boys and Girls Club right there." And I remember like walking up to it, and then it had a close sign on the door. And like it just hurt my feelings, man. Like we came this far and they talking about it's closed. And Mark was like, "See, that's why all these kids in gangs now ain't nothing to do but get in trouble," shaking his head. And I was like, "Man, I'm about to go, man." And Mark was like, "Do you want to come to my house and play the game?" And I just remember being so sad. I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm just gonna go home." And so I started walking the other way. And Marcus, he looked at me walking and he was gonna try to say something, but then he took a deep breath and then he walked in the other way. So later on that night, while Marcus was walking home, the guys that we chased us earlier, which we know later to know was the 4-1 boys, they caught him and they beat him up real bad. Like I'm talking about stumping them, kicking them. One of them had like beat him with like a plastic bat or something like that, just beating him bad. And while they was jumping on him, they heard like one of the neighbors say like, "I'm calling the police," and they all ran and they left Marcus all bloody, t-shirt torn up and everything. And I just remember a couple of days later, we was all in like this like a little abandoned house, and we was just like all in a circle. At the time, I didn't know what was going on. I just know Marcus still was like had band-aids on his head and he was kind of bruised up still. And he looked at all of us and he was like, "Man, it was them 4-1 boys that jumped on me and I want revenge." And LB was like, "You talking about them dudes across the track?" And Mark was like, "Hell yeah." The LB was like, "Man, let's go get them niggas then. I know where they hang at." And Duke gonna say like, "Man, I go steal my mama gun." And LB was like, "Hell yeah, it's on now." And Mark is like, I remember him like shouting, like kind of screaming, like, "No, they want to jump on me. We gonna find each one of them and we gonna whoop their ass. So is y'all down or what?" And everybody, of course, they agreed. But Me personally, I didn't want no parts to do with that. So I'm looking around like, man, how the way I can get up out of this? And then I just remember somebody busting in the room and it scared us. And it was Ike. And he was the leader of the real Guala gang, like the big homie of the crew. And Ike, like, with aggressive tone, was like, man, what the fuck y'all little niggas doing in my spot? Didn't I tell y'all badass to stay out of here? This spot is for the Guala gang only. And Priest said, like, kind of in a low tone, like, we Guala gang too, Ike. And Duke was like, man, Priest, shut up, man. And Ike was like, man, what the fuck you say, little nigga? So y'all Guala gang, huh? I don't see y'all little niggas on the block putting in work, selling dope or nothing. So can you please explain to me how the fuck is y'all part of my gang and I don't know about it? We all got quiet. And Ike was like, huh, I thought so. So y'all little niggas ain't about that life. Now get the fuck out and don't come back. And LB was like, how can we join then? And Ike looked. He looked at all of us. He's like, oh, so y'all ready to join Guala gang, huh? Once you in, ain't no way out. And it's Guala gang to the grave. So is y'all really ready? Then they all started shaking their head. And of course, I backed out in the corner. And I ain't gonna lie, I ran home. But Ike, he kept talking. He was like, okay, we'll come back tomorrow so we could jump y'all little niggas in. Now get the fuck out. So they all take off running. But Marcus, he stayed. And Ike was like, man, didn't I tell you to get the fuck out? And Marcus sitting there with a mean mug on his face. And he was like, I'm ready now. And Ike looking at him like a proud dad, like, oh shit, little Marcus got hard. I always like you, little nigga. And I'm gonna take you under my wing and turn you into a boss one day. You ready to put in some work? Marcus shook his head, yeah. And at that point, I was already tired of hanging with them. And I just wanted to be a regular kid. I ain't want to be in no gang. So, of course, when I ran home or whatever, I could honestly say I haven't seen them basically since. And I also convinced my mama to give me a transfer, so I lost touch with all of them except for Marcus. And me and Marcus, we kept touch, you know what I mean, talking on the phone or whatever every now and then. So 12 years later, everybody was grown, and Marcus was 22 years old now. And Ike was talking. He was like, "You feel me, Marco? I don't need you touching this shit, and I just need you collecting the money. Now y'all other niggas need to pay attention." And you know, everybody was sitting at like a little round table, and while Ike was talking, Ike was like, "After you chop it up, we gonna put it in aluminum foil instead of bags. We gotta start separating ourselves from all these other niggas out here." Which he was talking about drugs and all of that. And LB and Priest was joking around about the aluminum foil, and it pissed Ike off. And he was like, "Now what the fuck is so funny? Y'all think this shit is a joke?" Pointing at the drugs. "This shit ain't no game. Y'all niggas ain't kids no more. This shit right here get you niggas killed in these streets. And if one of y'all niggas fuck up my money, what's gonna happen to him, Marco?" Marco's like, "Niggas getting toe tagged and body bagged." And Ike was like, "Y'all niggas heard that? So try me if y'all want to. Hey, Priest, go get Ogman so he come test this shit out. And y'all niggas, y'all really trying to fuck up my high," as he light up his blunt. And so Priest went to go get Ogman, a strung out crackhead, and walked him back to the room. And Ike was like, "Here, Ogman, take two and tell me how it is. I found this new connect," and he said this shit is the purest in these streets. Well, at least on the south side. And Ike handed Ogman a book with the dope on it, and Ogman put it on a spoon or whatever, lit it up, shot the dope up in a needle, and then he stuck it in his arm. And then Ogman just like had this look as he leaning back and started slobbing from the mouth. Ogman was like, "Damn, now that's some good ass shit. It's way better than that bullshit y'all had last week. Can I get a couple of it for later? Come on, man, don't leave me hanging." And Ike was like, all right, man, LB, give him like 5 more. Get his stinking ass out of my house. So LB grabbed Ogden and started pushing him out and holding his nose at the same time. And then Ike yelled at LB. LB, stop pushing him like that, nigga. He ain't no fucking animal. LB was like, all right, boss, my bad. Then Ike revealed something surprising to everybody in the room. Ike was like, and Pops, take your ass straight home. You got enough of that shit that could last you for 2 days. And tell Granny I said what up. And Ogden was like, all right, son, I love you. And everybody was looking around surprised and shocked, like, what? And Ike was like, fuck y'all niggas looking at all stupid and shit. Finish bagging that shit up. Hey, hey, Marco, come with me. I got to holler at you for a second. And so Ike and Marcus walks in the room and closes the door. Now let me remind y'all, at this point, Marcus was deep into the streets. And Ike kept his word. He made him his right-hand man and one of the head dudes in charge. So Marcus' name was buzzing in the streets now. Marco, everybody knew about him. And legend says that he was one of the biggest killers on the South Side. And of course, he was a big-time drug dealer. Let me not forget to say, allegedly, he was a killer and a big-time drug dealer. Meanwhile, me, on the other hand, it was my graduation day. You know, putting on my cap and gown and all that stuff. I remember my mom taking all these pictures and stuff. You know, of course, she was proud. Her only boy doing good or whatever. And I just got my master's degree in business. So at this point, I already received like 5 job offers in business all over America. So I accepted a job at Morgan Inc. in LA. And I was so nervous about the move, but I was definitely nervous about leaving my mama behind. But I couldn't turn down over $100,000 a year just to start off. And I remember my mama saying, I'm so proud of you, baby, kissing me and stuff, and you know how much she loved me and all of that. And I was like, of course, like, love you too, Mom. But you can let me go now. You know, she was kind of holding me a little tight. And so my phone had rang or whatever, and my mama had answered it. And then I remember her telling me, like, Marcus, you know, the phone for you or whatever. And so I picked up the phone, and to my surprise, it's my boy Marcus. And of course, you know, I'm happy to hear from him. I probably ain't heard from him at this time, probably in like a couple of months, about 4 or 5 months. So I just remember talking to him, you know, like, and he congratulating me, and I was telling him that I'm moving to LA and I would be nervous and all that. And you know, he's saying like how he come visit me and stuff. You know, soon I get settled, let him know he gonna fly out or whatever. And so you know, like just chopping it up a little bit, and I'm like, cool. So we definitely gonna link up. And after hanging up, you know what I mean, like me and my mom, we got ready, you know, to go to the graduation or whatever. And so like 6 months down the line, I'm already settled in, got a decent little crib in LA, you know, working every day. And oh, I can't forget to tell y'all, you know, one of my first LA boos, my girl, her name was Teresa or whatever. She's like, hey babe, I didn't know you was home. And, you know, of course I'm like, yeah, just sitting here, you know what I mean, feet hurt. And Teresa like, poor baby, let me rub them for you. And I was like, okay, cool. So shit, I put my feet up. And Teresa took my shoes off and she was like, you know, holding her nose and stuff, whatever. Like, boy, your feet kicking like Bruce Leroy. And we started laughing. And I'm like, oh, did I tell you that I'm booking my ticket to Chicago for the weekend? My mama want me to make it out there for a birthday party. Do you want to come? And Teresa was like, now you know my boss not going to let me take off on a short notice like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, my bad. And so Teresa walks off and goes in the room. And I could tell she was upset, so I followed her. And I was like, what's wrong? Teresa was like, you know, texting on the phone. I don't want you going out there, Joseph. And I'm like, are you serious? It's my mama's birthday. You think I'm lying or something? You could call her. And she's like, it's not that. And I'm like, so what's the problem then? So I sat on the bed close to her. And, you know, she was starting to get a little bit emotional. And she was like, I was looking at the news the other day and they said Chicago is the murder capital of the world now. And they even said 30 people got shot last weekend and 12 of them died. And I'm scared and I just don't want anything to happen to you. And I told her, babe, I know it's bad out there, but you gotta trust me as I say this. I would not put myself in harm's way. That's my home, where I grew up at, so I know where I can go and where I can't go. And plus, all I'm gonna do while I'm out there is stay at my mom's house and visit my boy Marcus, and that's it. And Teresa, taking a deep breath, and I could tell it kind of settled a little bit. She was like, "You promise?" And I said, "I pinky swear." I pulled out my pinky, and then I put my feet up like, "Now, could you get over here and rub my feet?" And she was like, "No, your feet stink." So going back on the other side of Chicago, Marcus was having sex with some girl, like nice thick chick, and he doing this thing or whatever, and then he rolled over and he smoked the blunt, and then he got up, put some headphones on, walked to his computer or whatever, and then he started grabbed a pen and a piece of paper and cut on some music, and he started vibing to the music. What none of us knew at the time, Marcus had picked up a new hobby. He low key was trying to be a rapper. So a couple of days later, Marcus, Priest, and Duke was in the car, and they was on their way to the Bulls game. And Priest was like, "Hey, bro, stop at the Harris real quick. I'm hungry as hell." Marcus like, "Nigga, you can eat at the game." And Priest was like, "Man, I'm not finna spend $30 on no nachos. I want some chicken." And Marcus like, "Man, all this fucking money we making and you still cheap, man. That's fucked up." And so Duke started laughing. And Priest was like, "Hey, just stop right here real quick, bro. It's not gonna take long." And Marcus pulled over the car. And Duke was like, "Nigga, hurry up. I don't want to miss the introductions." And Priest was like, "Man, your soft ass only want to get there to see the intros so you could be screaming for D Rose like a bitch. Nigga, fuck that game. I'm going for the bitches anyway." And Duke was like, "Man, fuck you. He my favorite player." And Priest was like, "Anyway, do y'all niggas want some while I'm in here?" Marcus was like, "I'm good." Duke was like, "Yeah, man, give me a 6-piece with some hot sauce, some ketchup, some extra pepper." And Priest was like, "Damn, nigga, you want the whole bit? You want a biscuit with it too? And a cup of wine, motherfucker?" And they started laughing. And Marcus was like, "Go ahead, fool. And hey, don't be taking all day fucking with them hoes." And Priest was like, "All right, nigga." And then he walked off. And Marcus was like, "Man, hey, fool. When we get to the game, don't forget to leave that banger in the car. I ain't trying to get locked up tonight." And Duke was like, "All right." So as Priest walks in the store, he saw this girl. So, of course, he walked up to her. Like, "Hey, LaShawn, why your thick ass ain't hit me back from last week? I told you I'm trying to get up with you." And LaShawn was like, "Sorry, boo. I was busy. Anyways, what you finna get into?" And Priest was like, "Going to the Bulls game with the guys. Let's link up tonight." And LaShawn was texting on her phone. "Oh, okay. Well, let me see if my mama gonna babysit my son for tonight." And close up on her text message, you could see it said, "I'm at Harris with Priest right now. Hurry up, he about to leave." Then she sent the text. Then LaShawn said, "Who you going to the game with?" And Priest was like, "Marco and Duke, lame ass." And LaShawn was like, "Why you didn't ask if I wanted to go?" And Priest was like, "Because you never answered the fucking phone." And they laughed and stuff. And so LaShawn received a text message and it said, "We outside now. Bring his bitch ass around the back." And so LaShawn was like, "Oh." LaShawn looked at the message and then she checked it. And then she was like, she told Priest, like, "Yeah, well, I'm free. Come around the back with me so I can give you a little taste of what you're going to get later," with a sexy look on her face. And so Priest was geeked. He ain't even order his food. He was like, "Damn, for real? Let's go. Let's go this way so Marco can't see me." So once they got around the corner, she leaned up against the wall, unbuckling his pants while Priest watched. Then two guys with masks came from behind him and hit him with a pistol and knocked him out. And he just dropped to the floor. And the masked dude, number one, he's like, "Yeah, bitch ass nigga. You know what time it is." Start searching his pockets and stuff. Then they dragged him in the car and put him in the trunk. Then took off their masks, and it was the 4-1 boys. Coleon, the 4-1 boys leader, and his right-hand man, Lil Cash. Coleon was like, thanks, babe. I'm gonna get at you later. And LaShawn was like, give me some money for some food. I'm hungry. And Coleon was like, bitch, I just gave you $100 earlier today. And then they got in the car and they drove off. So like an hour or two later, Priest was strapped up into a chair. He was bloody, looked like he got beat up so bad, like he was close to death. And then Coleon came in the room. Hey, nigga. And then he slapped him. Wake up, bitch ass nigga. You ain't dead yet. And he slapped him again. Welcome back to the world, you bitch ass nigga. And then the big boss of the 4-1 boys walk in the room. His name is A-Ball. And he was smoking a cigar. A-Ball was like, who is this little nigga? And Coleon, like, he one of the Guala gang bitches from across the tracks. Them niggas making a lot of noise in these streets. And A-Ball was like, oh yeah? So these niggas fucking up my money, huh? Coleon shakes his head. A-Ball was like, alright. Ask that nigga where he could find all they drugs and money at. And if he tell us, I'll let him live. Coleon was like, where the drugs and money at, bitch ass nigga? And if you tell us, we gonna let you live. And Priest, hurt, could barely talk, was like, man, fuck you. So Coleon punches him in the face. Coleon was like, I'm gonna ask you one more time. And if you don't tell us what we wanna hear, I'm gonna kill your ass right now. And he cocks a gun and aims it at his head. So where the money at? Priest was like, okay. Coleon was like, start talking, nigga. Priest was like, it's at your mama house, and I left it over there after she finished sucking my dick, and started laughing. And so Coleon, pissed off, was like, oh yeah? Good night, bitch. And was about to shoot him, but A-Ball shouts, stop! We not gonna let him off that easy. Let me handle this. So Priest was like, nigga, I ain't scared of your bitch ass either. And spits on A-Ball. A-Ball wipes the spit off of him and was like, I wish you never did that. Then A-Ball burns out one of his eyeballs with his cigar. And Priest starts screaming in pain. Priest screaming. Okay, sorry. It's on 75th and Indiana in apartment 3E. The money is in the wall and the drugs is under the sink. A-Ball was like, see, that wasn't so hard, was it? Priest was crying. Please let me go. I told you everything. So as A-Ball was walking out the door, he whispers something in Lil Cash's ear and walks out the door. Then he walks and Coleon and said, Bango. Priest crying. Y'all let me go, right? You said if I give y'all the drugs and the money, y'all gonna let me go. Coleon started smiling. Yeah, you can go. To hell, bitch. Bang. Coleon shot Priest in the head. And blood just flowing across the room and everything. And then they walk out the room and cut the lights out. Nobody could have predicted what would happen next. Two of the closest people to Marcus was gone at the blink of an eye. Because that same day, Ike was arrested and convicted for racketeering conspiracy and conspiracy to commit extortion and assault with a deadly weapon. And he was sentenced to 60 years in a federal prison. And so later that day, the doorbell rang, and they was at Priest's mom's house, and she saw a package, and it said, to mom from Priest. So she smiled and opened it. And there was a letter in a small box, and the letter read, 4-1 boys, bitch. And she was confused. And when she opened the box, it was Priest's bloody fingers, and she dropped it and started screaming. So of course she called the police, and the rumor started spreading around that Marcus is probably dead or whatever. And so later that night, Marcus, since Ike was gone, Marcus became the leader of the Guala gang. And so he got all the Guala gang at the headquarters to let them know what happened next. He did what he had to do as a leader of Guala gang, and his first order was revenge. Marcus was like, Ike locked up, and them niggas killed Priest. He was shaking his head, and a tear rolled down his eyes. I want all of them 4-1 niggas dead. I want their family, friends, and anybody else associated with them dead. These niggas killed one of us, so we gonna kill all of them. It's war. Do y'all understand me? Everybody was shaking their head, yeah, in agreement. Marcus gathered himself a little bit. But if one of y'all catch that nigga A-Ball or Corleone, bring them to me. I want them alive, and I'm gonna handle them myself. And whoever catch them gets $50,000 in cash. And everybody started mumbling in the clique, looking around like, like that's a big come up, 50,000 cash. So everybody getting a little bit excited. And LB received a text that said, 4-1 boys hit our trap for all the drugs and money. So he interrupts Marcus. Hey, Marco. Marcus was like, what? LB was like, I just got a text from Jigga saying that 4-1 boys hit our trap house for all the money and drugs, and they killed 2 of our soldiers. And Marcus was like, what? How the fuck Jigga still living then? Tell that nigga to get over here now. LB was like, he at the hospital. He got hit 4 times. And Marcus was noticeably pissed. Man, get out there and kill all them niggas right now. And all the Guala gang dudes got up and they left. I don't want to see nobody out in these streets. We shutting this bitch down. And as you know, for the next couple of weeks, the Guala gang started putting in mad work. Drive-bys after drive-bys. One of the dudes was acting homeless, and then he killed one of the 4-1 boys. A kid was on a bike riding around, and then he shot up a 4-1 boys dice game. He killed a couple of them. They kidnapped the dude from 4-1 boys. And also a female killed a 4-1 boy that she was flirting with. She was acting like she was attracted to him and all of that, and got him in one of the trap houses or something, and she smoked him. So for the next couple of weeks, Guala gang really shut the city down. With the war going on like that, nobody was outside. Death after death, kidnaps after kidnaps, money getting stolen, people getting robbed. The city was going crazy. And I just remember a month later, I was getting packed because it was time for me to get ready to travel to Chicago, to go to my mama's party. And then I had called Teresa, like, hey, babe, did you see my blue shorts and my Jay-Z cologne? She was like, your shorts are in a dirty clothes hamper, and I don't know where your cologne at. And, of course, I was mad because I needed my cologne. And Teresa was like, I don't know what for. Don't be trying to smell good for them girls out there. You know I'm crazy. And, of course, I'm like, babe, stop playing. And Teresa's like, well, I'm almost home, so I'll help you look for it when I get there. So I'm like, okay, bye. And we hung up the phone. I just remember I need to get picked up from the airport. So I had called Marcus. Like, hey, Marcus, what up, bro? You know what I mean? Like, could you pick me up from the airport? And Marcus like, cool. I let him know my plane landed at 2:45 and all of that. And he was like, cool, he gonna be there. And so I had got that situation set up, so I was good. So the next day, I remember walking out the airport. I remember kind of being excited to be back home for the first time. And I walked out and I saw Marcus and I started walking towards the car. And Marcus like, my motherfucking nigga, what's up, fool? And of course I'm happy. I'm like, what's good, bro? It took you long enough. And Marcus like, my bad, my bitch was tripping. She thought I was going to some bitch crib. Not yet, at least. And we started laughing. I'm like, you crazy, fool. He popped the trunk and I put my stuff in there. And so we got in the car, shook hands, whatever, showed each other love or whatever. And Mark was like, man, I ain't gonna lie, man, I miss you, fool, no homo. And of course, I'm like, for sure, bro, same here. And Mark was like, how LA treat me? And I was like, I mean, it's cool. The weather's great, but mostly I'm working. And Mark was like, man, that's good though, man. I need to be getting out there so we could be hitting all the clubs and fucking all the bitches out there. Started laughing. And I had to let him know, hey, I got a girl now, so I don't be on that. And Mark's like, what? when y'all gonna tell me, man? Y'all having a gauge party? Is it serious? What's going on? And I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking about it. You know, she could be the one. And Mark is like, yeah, you thought that about the last bitch until you found out she was fucking your boss. And we started laughing. And I'm like, man, bad memories. And so I remember like we driving and I'm just looking out the car or whatever, looking out the window, happy to be back home. And Mark is like, hey, you remember Priest, don't you? And I'm like, of course I remember Priest. He talking to all of the girls when we was young, man, that was the good old days. And Mark's like, he dead. And I'm like, what? When this happened? And Marcus was like, about a month ago. Them 4-1 boy niggas that, you remember when we was kids and they chased us? I'm like, yeah. He was like, they kidnapped and killed him. And I just remember instantly feeling like real sad. And I looked at Marcus and I'm like, damn, bro, you good? I know how close you and Priest was. And Marcus, he kind of started breaking down. And he was like, man, to be honest, I can't take this shit no more. I mean, we killed some of them, they killed some of us. It's like this shit will never end until all of us is dead. And for what? All over these streets and don't none of us own it. I want to get out this shit, bro. I want out. And so I'm like, man, just quit then. Tell Guala Gang you out. And Marcus was like, man, I wish I could, but it don't work like that. Plus, I'm the leader now. And the only how I could quit is either dead or in jail. And I wish I would have ran out that room like you did when we was kids. Maybe things would be different. And for a second, we had a brief silence. And then I came up with a plan. And I'm like, hey, I got an idea. Marcus like, what? I'm like, how about you move to LA with me and I will help you find a job and you can live with me until you get on your feet. And Marcus like, man, that's love, bro. But I ain't working no 9 to 5. I'm pulling in like 40,000 a day in these streets. Why would I leave that to make $8 an hour? You got me fucked up. And I'm like, damn, I only make 100,000 a year. I need a career change. And we both had like an unexpected laugh. And Mark was like, but I'm not dumb. I know I can't do this shit forever. So I have been trying to focus on this rap shit. I feel like if I get the right people behind me, I can blow up. And Joseph's like, for real, spit something then. Mark's like, not now. But I got a lot of shit recorded at the crib. So come over later and I'm gonna let you hear some of it. And I was like, all right, for sure. Hey, but let's step at this McDonald's real quick. I'm hungry as hell. And Mark is like, cool. So later on that night, after I took a nap and stuff, I had jumped in the car and rode to Marcus' house, just to link up with him. My mama wasn't off work yet, so I figured, shit, I'll go chop it up with him for a second. And I remember knocking on the door, and all the lights was out, so ain't nobody answer. So shit, I started walking back to the car. And I heard Marcus scream, "Hey Joey, where you going, fool?" And then I walked back towards the house, and I'm like, "I thought you was asleep. I thought you wasn't here." And I'm like, "You must be asleep." And Mark's like, "Hell yeah, come in, make yourself at home, nigga." And so we walked in the house and all of that. And Mark was like, "You just left the crib?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I was waiting on my mama, but she's still at work." And Mark was like, "You ain't seen her yet?" And I'm like, "Nah, I can't wait to see her, man. I miss the hell out of my mama." And Mark started laughing like, "Hey, mama's boy, cut the lights on for me." And, like it was kind of dark, so I reached around and I cut the lights on. And to my surprise, it was a house full of people. Everybody's like, surprise. And of course, I was shocked, but I was happy, at the same time. I saw some old faces, some old friends and family. And, even my mama was there. So, of course, I was happy about it, man. They got me good. I ain't gonna lie. So I was blushing. I'm like, y'all got me. Ma, I've been blowing up your phone. You could at least warn me, smiling. And my mom was like, I miss my baby. And she hugged me and all that. And, I walking around shaking everybody's hands and everything like that. And Margaret's like, me and your mom set the whole thing up. And I was like, I didn't expect this at all. And my mom was like, well, I'm about to go home, baby. I got to get up for work in the morning. So enjoy yourself and drink responsibly. I'll see you when you get home. And I was like, okay, Ma. And I kisses her as she walks out. And Mark is like, I got him, Ma. Don't worry about it. I'm going to get him home safely. And my mama walks out the door. And Duke yells, now it's time to get this party started. Then, of course, everybody started cheering and the music came on. And instantly, Marcus gave me a cup. And we started turning up crazy, man. So, like, the party's going crazy, though. Like, guys, everybody was joking around, laughing, girls dancing. Me trying to get my dance on. I can't really dance, but I was doing my thing. And then Marcus had showed me a few of his YouTube videos, like him rapping and stuff, and he was pretty good. You know what I mean? I can't lie. And then for some reason we see in the recommended we see 4-1 boys dissing Guala Gang, and like we looked at it, and like of course Marcus he wasn't really happy about that. And then it showed them like like basically talking trash about Priest, talking about who they killed, this and that, dissing like basically all the dead homies that's from Guala Gang, and like it was messed up, you know what I mean? And like all I remember like that after that night, like my head was in the toilet, because I was drunk as hell. I ain't gonna lie, like I ain't drink that much since ever, you know. And then everything went blank for me. And I just remember Marcus waking me up. And he was like, man, get your drunk ass up so I could take you home before your moms kill me. And I was like, I looked around like, where everybody at? Marcus like, they went home. Where your drunk ass for to go? And of course, I'm struggling out the house, and Marcus trying to help me to the car. And we got in the car and we drove off as he taking me home. And Marcus, he was laughing at me. He's like, you good, bro? And I'm drunk as hell. I'm like, man, I love you, man. You my motherfucking nigga. We gonna do this again tomorrow. And Marcus like, all right, now take your drunk ass in the house. And I get out the car or whatever, and I'm struggling, man. And I'm like, hey, I ain't forget. It's still Guala Gang for life. And Marcus laughed at me, and he's like, I'm glad he back, man. I'm glad you back. And then, Marcus drove off. And of course, as I'm walking in the house, I hear eight gunshots loudly. It was so loud that it sounded like it was literally on my block. But I was so drunk, I ain't even look behind me. I just remember getting in the house, passing out. And that day, June 25th, 2011, is the day that changed my life forever. I remember being passed out drunk from the surprise party Marcus just threw me, and my phone just kept ringing. And the first thing I did was look at the clock, and then I answered my phone, and it was Marcus' mama screaming, crying. Marcus got shot. He might not live. And I just remember my heart just dropping, and I just got out the bed and dropped to my knees and instantly started praying and crying. Like, I mean, that's all I could do, just keep praying, keep praying. I couldn't believe it. I was just literally with him maybe what, an hour or two ago. Now they saying he could die. And after I found the strength to get up, I had to go to the hospital. So I told my mama, and instantly we got up and we ran out the house. So of course, Marcus survived the shooting. Like, he the strongest guy that I know. So I knew if anybody could survive it, he could. So like a couple of months later, I remember going to his crib and ringing the doorbell. His mama answered the door, and she like, "Hey, babe, how you doing?" And she gave me a hug and all of that. And I was like, "I'm good. How you been?" And Miss Washington was like, "My baby is alive, and that's all that matters to me. Thank you, Jesus." And I asked her, like, "Is he feeling better today?" Because Mark has been struggling. And Miss Washington was like, "I think he is depressed, and he won't come out his room, and he won't let anyone come visit him. Anytime someone comes over, he always fake sleep or act like he in pain. I just don't know what else to do. I tried talking to him, but nothing's working." And so I was like, "So how did the surgery go last week?" My mom told me that he had an infection, so they had to remove something. And Miss Washington, being emotional, she's like, the surgery went well, but now they saying he paralyzed from the waist down. And all I could do is just shake my head and say, like, like, oh my God, like I just couldn't believe it. And Miss Washington was like, yeah, but let me check and see if he wants some company. And I'm like, okay. So she walked in the room, to talk to him. And I just remember like feeling so crazy, like upset, like just feeling a whole bunch of different ways. Like one of my best friends in the world is now paralyzed. Like it was just a confusing feeling. And like since I just flew back to Chicago, like to visit him, like I wasn't gonna accept no for an answer anyway, even if she said he didn't want no visitor. But Miss Washington came back out and she said, he said you come in and his nurse is finishing up with him now. So I said, okay. So I walked to the room and I see Marcus' nurse. She was changing the bandages over his bullet wounds or whatever, or a surgery mark, whichever one it was. And I could look in his face and I could tell Marcus is under pain. So I'm like, hey, do you want me to come back, bro? And Marcus, noticeably in pain, was like, no, it's all good. I'm like, all right. So I sat down in a chair next to his bed and, watched him as his nurse finished doing her job. And the nurse was like, just take this medication and you will feel better. Do you have any questions before I leave? And Marcus was like, no, I'm fine. So the nurse was like, okay, I'll see you Wednesday. Take care. And then she left. So I'm like, you good, bro? You look like you in hella pain. Marcus like, I'm good. It don't hurt as bad as it did at first. And I was like, that's crazy. I still can't believe this happened to you, man. I thought I lost you, bro. And Marcus was like, they said I flatlined twice. I guess it wasn't meant for me to die. And I was like, true. God got bigger plans for you. Everything happened for a reason, so you know you got to change your life now. And Marcus shakes his head, yeah, as he pops a couple of his pills. And I'm like, hey, bro, what happened? I mean, you just had to drop off like that. Next time I know, I'm getting a call, and your mama like that. Man, it's crazy, man. And Marcus like, all I remember was I dropped you off, and I thought this black Chevy was following me, so I dipped off another way. And I thought I lost the car, so when I pulled up at the stoplight, and I reached to change the CD in my car, and when I lift up, I looked up, and all I see was the barrel of a gun. And next thing I know, the gun popped off, and I woke up in the hospital. And I'm like, oh my God, man, wow, man, I could have been in the car with you. Matter of fact, I should have been there with you. Maybe this wouldn't happen. And Marcus getting kind of irritated, like, then both of us would have been got shot. And you possibly would have been dead because they shot me from the other side where you would have been sitting at. So Marcus cuts on the TV and music, music playing. And you could tell, like, he was irritated by the conversation. And I just started bopping my head to the music. And I said, who is that? That sounds dope. And Mark's like, that's me, nigga. I told you, I gets it in. And I'm like, oh, I didn't believe you. But this shit sound like this shit need to be on the radio. And Mark was like, I agree, bro. Plus I got more music. And it's not even the best song. And of course we vibing to the music and stuff. And I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna front. This shit right here is better than 90% of the rappers that's out now. Mark's like, I know. These young niggas is whack these days. All that's hooked on phonics ass music, man. I ain't feeling none of that shit. And then Marcus turns on another song. Check this one out. They listen to the first verse and then, like dope song and then a hook. And I thought this would be the perfect moment to tell Marcus the good news. So I'm like, hey, I moved back, right? And Marcus cut the music off and he had like this displeased look on his face. And Mark's like, huh? Why the hell would you do that? And I was like, it's a long story. Plus, I need to be here anyway, especially after what happened to you. And then Marcus gets mad. Like, you think this shit a game, nigga? I'm paralyzed. If they see you with me, nigga, they coming after you. Nah, fuck that. You need to take your ass back to LA, man. Live a good life. And I was like, I feel you, but I found a good job out here, and they paying me double the amount that they was paying me in LA. And mom's getting older now. You know, you just stuck with me now. And Mark is like, yeah, whatever, man. But if something happened to you, I'm not taking blame for it. Then he cut the music back on. And Mark was like, hey, this new song I'm working on right here, this a dope ass beat, ain't it? And I'm like, yeah, this shit dope as hell. And Mark is like, damn, nigga, go ahead and freestyle a little bit. And of course, I started playing around, you know, like laughing and joking. And I'm freestyling a little bit. And Mark's like, hey, that shit sound decent, man. I didn't know you could rap. And I was like, I can't. I was just playing around. And Mark's like, well, you just found your hidden talent then, fool. And I ain't gonna lie, that was raw. Kick off another one. Then, of course, he kept playing some more music and then, you know, kept freestyling us going back and forth and all of that. So now remember, at this time, the biggest war in the city is going on against 4-1 Boys versus Guala Gang. And they shut the city down. After all the people being murdered, people being kidnapped, the city was like literally shut down, and wasn't no parts of the city safe. And it was the main reason why Chicago became a new murder capital.